Chair Carlisle and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Samantha Kerschel, and I'm the Executive Director for TechNet.
Round 2.
Here in Washington in the Northwest. Respectfully, we are testifying in opposition to Senate Bill 5799 today. We believe this legislation is in search of a problem that does not exist.
Gee, I wonder who's been copying whose book report recently.
Something that's resonated with me is something that you heard early on here, is this is legislation in search of a problem.
Can you guys at least pretend that you're not reading off of the same piece of paper?
Consumers in this country already have a choice when it comes to who repairs their devices, and thousands of authorized repair facilities compete for consumers' business each day. Technology companies have every incentive to ensure their customers have ample opportunity to get their products repaired, and in fact, our brands depend on being able to provide superior customer service. Technology companies must be able to manage their repair networks in order to provide adequate training and accountability, which leads to safe and effective repairs. The groups pushing for this in states across the country stand to profit greatly by passing this legislation.
But the reality is that some of the people that you're hearing from today greatly seek to profit off of this legislation being passed.
Before I get started, I think it's important to address a point that Mrs. Fisher just brought up, which is that there are many people that are seeking to profit from this legislation. And I agree that it's an important point. I think it's important to look at who paid to be here today versus who is being paid to be here today when looking at who is opposing the legislation and who is in favor of that legislation.
This bothers me, and I realize that I shouldn't take it personally, and I realize it's probably a character flaw that I do take it personally, but I do. What's going on here is a paid lobbyist who probably gets paid a six-figure salary is telling us that we stand to greatly profit from this legislation. The people that are paying thousands of dollars to show up and speak to their senators and assembly people are being told by someone who is paid six figures to speak to senators and assembly people that we're the ones seeking to profit from the legislative process. And that, to me, either implies willful manipulation or a complete lack of self-knowledge as to what the job of a lobbyist actually is. Now, when I show up at these hearings, I am showing up here not because I profit. I'm showing up here because I want there to be a path to success for the next generation the same way there was one for me. 12 years ago, I had about $200 to my name. I was living in a termite-filled apartment. When I spoke to the landlord about it, he would say, "What are you, Pinocchio? They're not after you," referring to the termites not caring about me because I'm not made of wood. I was not in the greatest place in life, and through being able to solve customer problems and fix their devices and recover their data and make them happy, I was able to improve my life immensely. I was able to gain and garner a sense of purpose with what I was doing. I was able to wake up and go to work and actually feel good about what I did each day and not be poor anymore. And I really genuinely want that opportunity to be available to the next person a few years from now who's starting where I was 12 years ago. And that's not going to be the case if every single device is completely serialized and there's no access to schematics or parts or data on how anything works. And the reality is that when you're at the point that I am with over 1 million subscribers and a lot of contacts and 12 years in the business, I have more access to getting stuff like this than someone who is just starting out. There are many times where something will just show up at the office and it'll be filled with schematics or board views or tools that I never knew existed, and there'll be no return address on the package. And I know that that's not happening to other people that don't have 1 million subscribers or 4 to 10 million views a month or a reputation like we do. But I want them to be able to have that same path to success that I had. That's why I spent $2,000 out of pocket booking a last-minute flight to show up here and booking a last-minute hotel. That's why I paid out of pocket to go to Nebraska, paid out of pocket to go to Albany, to Tennessee, to Boston, and here, and we'll be paying again out of pocket to go to Maine on Thursday to lobby there. That's why I am paying to do these things, because I want there to be a path to success for new people entering the business. And if a bill like this doesn't get passed, I'll still have access to a lot of stuff that this bill would give people access to. It's just the new people that won't. So frankly, if I were one of those dog-eat-dog, Hunger Games economy kind of business people, I wouldn't really want this to be passed because I'll have access to it anyway. So when someone who's getting paid a professional salary, whose hotel and plane is all being comped so that they can show up here and oppose the legislation, has the audacity to say that the people who are showing up here in support of their craft, of their customers, of their profession, are the people who are seeking to profit from it, it really leaves a sour taste in my mouth, and it bothers me probably more than it should.
Under the guise of consumer protection. TechNet's main concern with this bill pertains to intellectual property. We fear that once a manufacturer loses their control and ability to repair the devices that they alone develop and produce, their intellectual property is at enormous risk. And I will provide these comments to you in written form as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome.